So, Becca, I am excited today. We get to talk with a voiceover actor.
I know, I'm so excited. Our guest today is actually John Cormur, and I have had the opportunity to present with him. And I absolutely love presenting with him because I get to say all the boring stuff and then say, here, John, makes it fun. Make it fun for everybody who's here. And he does a fantastic job. So I'm excited for that. It actually, one of the things that I don't know if it's a struggle or if I enjoy it or both, but I really like accents. Like I really like when people can do voices and accents and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it's because of my dyspraxia that I can't move my mouth right to mimic it all, but I love listening to it. It's like really beautiful to me and really like pleasant for me to listen to people's accents because I enjoyed when Chris was on and he had his accent. And so I
Yeah.
really like it. And so it's funny that for John, he was able to turn it into from a special interest into a career. And I just don't have that ability, but I could sit and listen to him forever. So we're going to have fun.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to learn how some of these voices are made, like the process and technique. I'm a real nerd about this stuff.
Oh, good. You ask all your nerdy questions. They'll be appreciated.
All your nerdy questions.
So let's get into it already, right? Let me just quickly read through John's bio because he's amazing. So Jonathan Cormur is a voice actor and member of the Screen Actors Guild, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. And he's done voiceover work for video games, apps, digital comics, audiobooks, and industrials. For 6 years, he was the voice of California's Great American Theme Park for in-park announcements, the Gold Striker Ride, and Halloween Hunt. You can hear many of his fun character voices in his new podcast, Dorktail's Storytime Podcast. It's out now wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can, of course, find Don at johnincharacter.com. Welcome, Don.
Thank you. I have it on good authority that I'm actually still there at Great America. They had, they changed up because it's been many, many years, but they changed up all of like my park announcements and overheads and show announcements and stuff like that. But I'm still on Gold Strikers.
Yay!
So when you hear, welcome to Gold Strikers, we're gonna strike it rich. That's still me.
Yay!
I'm proud of that.
You should be. I would think it's so cool to walk through a theme park and hear your voice all over the place.
Actually, it was pretty intimidating. It was kind of like an overwhelming thing because I didn't really know how other people, like for me, and this is typical for any voice actor, it's hard to hear yourself.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't really sound like how you do in your head.
Okay.
Like to me, in my head, I can sound like James. I think I sound like James Earl Jones, but in reality, I sound like Urkel. Did I do that? And I'm like, I just go, whoa, oh boy.
So yeah, it's kind of like for actors to see themselves on screen can be uncomfortable. So for you to hear yourself is uncomfortable.
It can be, and I was like, I was kind of cut off for most of the thing at Great America. I was kind of cut off from like the rest of talent and the park because I was mostly behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
The only people I would really interact with were like some of the technical people and the supervisor and the main supervisor. And so when I worked at the Halloween Haunt as a talent, because they always had to pull whoever they could get.
Right.
And I was a zombie tourist.
Nice.
I was a tourist. I even had my own backstory where they asked me, "Hey man, how'd you die?" And I'm like, "Oh, that zombie, hippie guy. Well, back when we were alive, he gave me something that was like, and I was I was so baked, I thought I could fly, and then I climbed all the way up to the Star Tower, and here I am."
Wow, that's so awesome. I wish I could do any of these things.
But it was weird because I didn't really know how other people, like if it was me working outside in the park hearing my voice every day, constantly around the clock, I'd be like, oh God, well, this guy just shut up and stuff. But when I worked at the haunt with all the other people, there was like, I try to keep it like a secret. I'm not a very vain, I'm not vain is the wrong word. I'm not like the kind of person who advertised, which is funny, considering how voice acting is a lot of, self-advertising. But back then I definitely wasn't, mostly because I was just really shy. And then somebody who knew me from the tech department was a bit of a blabbermouth,
Yeah.
and suddenly like the entire park knew that it was me who did it. I became like a bit of a celebrity overnight, like literally overnight. And it was really, heartwarming to me. It was overwhelming, but it was very heartwarming to me. So it was very nice.
I've heard like a lot of times like famous like pianists or singers, like if they're at a party, then people are always asking them, oh, play the piano or sing this song. So I'm wondering, for you as a voice over actor, like, do you get that much, and is that like an annoying thing to you, or do you get excited to do that?
Mostly from I mostly get that from kids. When kids find out that I can do voices and stuff. Not a lot of adults will like, I mean, I get questions from some like older people guys and gals who will ask me about that. But mostly it's the kids. And it's not that I don't like doing it, but it gets old repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. They'll always be like, do this one specific voice, please. And I'll be like, okay, again. All right.
Yeah. Well, when did it become an interest for you? And when did you find the ability to really kind of mimic this stuff and how to do it?
Well, I think it was, I always tell like other people who ask me where the voices like came from. And I said, I watched a lot of cartoons.
Yeah.
I just watched a lot of cartoons, and I would kind of mimic what I saw. Used to be when I was younger, I would it would look like I would pace around like a room in circles, and I would have what are called my episodes. And which means something totally different from how I think a lot of people would think when they say I had an episode. My episodes were, I would actually craft, I would take like the characters and stuff from my favorite TV show, for example, craft a narrative in my head, and then perform it and act it out. That was my episode. It would be like an episode from a TV show. So those were my episodes. And, I was at a point in my life where I was kind of wondering what I was going to do with my future, because especially at the school I was at, you were either like good at sports or good at computers, and I was good at neither of those things. So I had to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And, we found a school in San Francisco. I live in, which is close to where I live, called Voice One, where they teach like, voiceover stuff, and a lot of other things in the business. And, excuse me, I also had, I also started doing theater, which I always tell people who want to get into voiceover acting. I ask them, have you done theater yet? And a lot of, or improv, singing lessons and stuff. All of those things are important for voiceover. They're very crucial for voiceover. Theater teaches you how to craft characters and, embody them. Improv teaches you to think on your feet. Singing can strengthen your muscles. It's why I take singing lessons every Friday now, even though I'm not really a singer and I don't really go out to do auditions and stuff. The techniques and the warm-ups and exercise and all the techniques I learned still help me, and they're just helping me grow.
That's awesome. So did you do like, as a kid, did you do lots of voices all over the house and everything? Were you constantly? Yeah.
I was constantly making a lot of references and saying a bunch of lines from characters and stuff. And while most of my family knew what I was talking about, I would say sometimes I would say things out of context. So it made it hard for my peers to really know what I was talking about. Because it took a while for me to learn that, other people don't live inside my head. So they can't really see when I'm saying this obscure line from an animated movie that's not in theaters anymore or something like that. I do a character. It can come across as confusing at best, or even scary at worst.
How do you go about like choosing what characters you want to do?
You mean like for when I choose them in general, or when I have like like an audition or something, or
Like just in general, like for your own personal.
oh, okay. Well, I think that's where coming up with the story comes in. I craft the story and the character. The characters kind of come from there. Story is always important first, and then building the characters that inhabit then building like the world and the characters and habits. It's all writing stuff. Which
I was going to say, do you write also? Because I would think that would be part of it too, is sort of having a writer's brain in there somewhere.
I'm very good at like coming up with like ideas and narratives and stuff off the cuff, but when it comes to putting things, it's like the autist, like the thing where and I do have this problem where I come up with things in my head. The words are flowing correctly through my head, but when they get to when I have to speak them, it's hard, it's difficult. And the same goes for writing. It's hard to kind of get the jumbled kind of thoughts and stuff that are perfect in my head out words. And then having dysgraphia also doesn't help.
Yes, for sure, I imagine.
So I wish I could write. I really do. And I applaud people who do. It's I know it's not easy. So I applaud a lot of people, just like how people like, are impressed by my voiceover. I'm impressed by people who can like write good and draw good and stuff. Drawing in particular, I wish I could draw like some of the characters and stuff that are in my head and draw them on paper. I wish I could do that, but the best I can do are I mess up stick figures. that's the best I can do.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in a piece of this because I wonder how much of it came to you from Echolalia, like how much of it was about just repeating the things and the sounds that you heard that appealed to you, and how much of it was about deciding now, this is a craft or this is a skill set that I have.
Right. You brought what was the name you brought?
Echolalia. That's what it's called. Echolalia. We copy the sounds.
That's a nice name. To describe it, when people ask me like how I can do these, like how I can do voices or how I can do accents, because you mentioned about accents.
Right.
I tell them to look at it kind of like, I ask them, do you play piano? And, do you play multiple instruments? Have you played like more than one instrument? There's a musicality to voices and any kind of voices and stuff. It's how I know when they reuse the same voice actor for the same part. Because even if they're doing a bang up job, with the performance and even hiding it, I'm just, used to kind of listening in and I know, oh, it's that oh, it's him, oh, it's her, and stuff. And there's a musicality to accents as well, to dialects. For example, if you're trying to talk in a bit of an Irish accent, there's a little bit of a lyrical quality to it, a bit of an up and down sort of accent there. Versus if you go over to Wales, where it's a bit more staccato, everything is a bit more staccato up there, and then you go a little harder to the Scottish, and the Scottish is a little bit more back here, and all that, and then it goes all the way down to British, up to British, which is a little bit more head-like, a little bit more London British, I suppose. And then you have all the way down here, you have Australia, who talks a little bit, that's more Cockney.
Mm.
Australia, it's a little bit down here and all that sort of thing. So, there's a musical kind of, that's me not warming up and practicing these accents. I still have to kind of fine tune my instrument in order to get it perfectly.
Right.
But there's a bit of like a musical quality to it. So that's like the best way. And I think that echolalia,
Yep.
that's lovely. Echolalia really helps because I'm able to, hear the voice and I can replicate it as well as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear like a Christopher Walken voice, and suddenly, wow, I'm all of a sudden down here to Christopher Walken. Oh gosh, I'm a gardener who's afraid of plants, so I give them all googly eyes.
This is true. Wow, it's amazing. See, isn't it amazing? Don't you want to present with him? I never had to do a freaking thing.
For
I
sure.
could just be boring and boring and boring and information, and everybody loved it anyway because it's just so fun.
Definitely.
We're
Jonathan.
good 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
What about your podcast? I had a chance to listen to a few episodes recently. It was a lot of fun. Fairy tale classics and tales about like hidden heroes in history. Why a podcast like geared towards children and telling these stories?
Well, a podcast is like just, it's the thing here. And unfortunately, with the downside of voice acting is there's very little work and for all the people who want to do it. A lot of people want to do it, like everybody with a microphone, a reasonably good microphone wants to do it. And it tends to be that, studio, whether they're being game studios or animation studios or what have you, they like consistency, so they tend to use all the same people over and over and over again. And so a lot of it now is doing something on your own, making something that's yours, and maybe someone will see it. Maybe like their kid will like it, and like a big voice actor who's been in the business forever has grandkids, and the grandkids stumble upon the podcast for like because they're a good length for bedtime kind of thing, or a nice trip through the car. They're all like 30-40 like minutes or so. They're not very the hidden heroes in particular are also shorter. They're about like 20 or so minutes, 20-25 minutes each. And but it was just kind of to do something and to actually use my my skills, and then it's for something that I can control. And as far as kids go, I've always had an affinity for kids. Like more so, I just live in their world a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to like interact with them, mostly because like kids don't like BS you. They'll and it's a lot less pressure socially for me. I remember when I was doing like children's theater at college, we were putting on a children's play, and how like everyone was so nervous about doing kids, and my God bless them, my professor was like, kids are they're hard because they're really honest, and they will tell you that you'll know if you do badly. And I'm like, yeah, but they're also like the easiest ones to cater to. You just gotta be high energy, be energetic. Don't talk down, don't talk down to them because they'll know. And then just, be real with them, just pull them in, and, even if something like, if you mess up or something, make a bit out of it.
Right.
So I think that like the way I went is, Dork Tales actually kind of came one of the reasons why it was called that is because of DuckTales. I used to love watching those Disney afternoon shows with like the old DuckTales and Darkwing Duck and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy they're back. That's
Yes. I'm happy Tiny Toons is back. I like the theme song all the time.
right. Well, Animaniacs is coming back.
Yeah.
Very,
That's the
very.
good stuff that's coming back, though. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the return of 80s cartoons as well. Like everyone, He-Man again, and I feel all cool all over again.
Right. And so, but like, you know, I wanted to aim it for like, you know, it's something that kids can enjoy and really like, but it's also something that adults, you know, their parents can listen to without, you know, going like, oh God, they're listening to that again. You know, I want it to be something that, you know, the kids can listen to, and the parents can listen to together. And, you know, one thing is making it, also making it educational and interesting. That's why we have like, there are like, I don't try to grandstand with the messages in Dork Tales, but like we did one recently about where the Mr. Reg, the hedgehog sidekick, is competing in a animal strength contest, and he's doing it all last minute. And I mentioned, you know, that's right, good to, you know, he's like, oh, I'm hungry. It's time for a snack break. And I'm like, that's right. Good nutrition and hydration is very important for when you're working, you know.
Yeah.
Little things like that. And then with the hidden heroes, I can, you know, be straight up more educational with it. Talk about people who, you know, you might have heard of, but don't really know.
Right.
And stuff. So that's kind of what I was just going into. And then it's just an opportunity for me personally, just an opportunity for me to get out there and do a bunch of crazy characters.
And create content. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I have to ask, besides voices, besides that kind of stuff, did you have other special interests? Do you have other special interests now?
Well, what else am I mean, it's a little tough now for that.
Right.
Sadly.
Adulting. All the adulting happens and then you can't.
Yeah, well, there's also the situation we're all dealing with.
Right.
Makes it hard. I actually I was on my way, I was getting back into my karate class that I used to take a long time ago. I was getting back into it and getting in shape, but then, you know, all this madness, then 2020 happened.
And everyone's life got derailed.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm just basically in here, you know, doing what I can to not go insane.
Yeah, like the rest of us.
Yeah, been watching a lot of anime and stuff like that, which is very interesting. Getting like a different perspective, like another country. Because their take on voice acting is very, and animation in general is very different from us, and it's interesting kind of hearing like their performances and stuff. Not that they're better or worse than us, than American
timing.
Voice acting. It's just very different.
Yeah,
and I like getting that, you know, finding those differences. It's very interesting.
Awesome. Well, that's about it for like, I think the big questions, unless you have any more, Doug.
No, I don't think so. I think we'll just kind of get to our last portion of the show, which is called Inside the Autistic Studio, which is kind of our take, Jonathan, on Inside the Actors Studio, show where they have James Lipton has his survey at the end of each show. So we're doing that with Inside the Autistic Studio. So we got 11 questions. The first question is, what are your pronouns?
He, him, his.
And what is your preferred stim?
I guess walking around, talking to myself. And yeah.
Now, I know you deal with a children's podcast, so this might not happen a lot, but what is your favorite curse word?
Uh, what was that? What was that? Like fuck, fuck. I like to curse like Bill Burr. I'm very much like I love Bill Burr. I listen to a bunch of like podcasts from comedians that I really like, and so Bill Burr has that Bostonian thing, and I'm just like, you fucking moron! What are you doing? You want to hear me curse? Drive with me, and we get to a point where somebody doesn't turn their fucking blinker on. Turn the turn signal. How am I supposed to know if you're going to turn left or right? You just slow down, stop in the middle. You don't turn. Yeah, moron. That's kind of what I see.
And who do you love, and what are you doing about it?
Who do I love? I don't really have anyone I love now. In terms of what I'm doing about it, I have no idea what to do. I've asked a lot of like people who, it's great that we're teaching like people on the spectrum about being social and having, being properly and stuff, but when are you going to teach me how to like pick up a member of the opposite sex, or teach me how to romance properly without making a complete fool of myself, or being intimidated.
Services and supports we need. Those are adult services.
I think there needs to come like advanced social lessons that would be really helpful. So even if I had somebody I was interested in, I have no idea how. I'm just basically like, I'm winging it. Whatever happens, happens.
You may be neurotypical if.
I may be neurotypical if I wasn't, if I didn't have, that's a question. I may be neurotypical if I am able to live completely on my own without any kind of like benefits or any real like help and stuff. I feel like, and I'm grateful for all the help and stuff, but there's always a little part of me that says I don't, if I wasn't neuroatypical, I could probably, live out of my apartment a little bit, like live in my own like place and stuff, not subsidized by anything, but oh well.
You'll get there.
I'll get there, and I think the gifts, like the gifts I receive from not being from being neuroatypical, balance out, if not outweigh, if I was neurotypical.
Yeah.
You may be autistic if.
Is a mirror an answer? Like holding a brain and stuff, and then I'm just like, you may be autistic.
I like it. It's a great answer.
Thumbs and are this guy.
Definitely an answer. What's something you want to learn to do or be better at?
I would like to be better at getting to the point. The thing about the info dump thing is that it is like a snake eating its own tail.
Yes.
I realize that I have a lot of good stuff to say, but because I take a while to get to my actual point, it can become a little overwhelming, and people also interrupt. It leaves me more open to being interrupted, which is something that, people on the spectrum really don't like, myself included. But I realized, what? If I had gotten there a little bit quicker, maybe I wouldn't have been interrupted. Also, anxiety. But I think anxiety is a general, broad thing. I think everybody in their own way deals with it. So I'll say getting to the point.
What autistic social media account should people be paying attention to?
None. I think I am terrible with social media. And after seeing a bunch of like more than my fair share of garbage fires and meltdowns on certain platforms, I'm so grateful for that. Now, as far as my business and acting goes, you know, I have an Instagram account. I think I have Twitter, although I never really use it. I mostly use Facebook just to see what like my friends are doing. On the rare occasion I remember that I have it. But I think a lot of people's lives would be a little bit more relaxed and easy if they took a break from all that.
Yeah.
But that's a hot take. That's just me. That's a hot take, I know. So that's my answer. None.
What's one thing in your routine you couldn't possibly live without?
Watching at least one of my favorite anime. Watching at least some animated thing helps with me with my profession too. So
yeah.
Dog, cat, or must I choose?
Dog, cat, or must I choose? Must I choose? I could live with I mean, dogs are super cool. They're always by your side and they're loyal. They're very like loyal, and they always know when you're feeling what you're feeling. But I think personality-wise, if I wasn't so allergic, I'd be a cat person. Because cats are very independent. I don't have to worry about them mostly that much. I can see myself, you know, coming home from a long day's work and my cat going out to do whatever night things he does. And I'd go, hey, and he'd go, hey. Ready for the night? Yeah, I guess. How was your day? It was good. Oh, that's cool. Bye. Don't forget to leave notes for me. Okay.
I get that. What does autistic joy mean to you?
When you're just full of so much happiness. I've never heard that term. Happiness that you're autistic about it. I don't know. When you're just so happy, you are overwhelmed. Your sensory overload of happiness, I guess. You have a sensory overload of happiness. There you go.
I like that.
Yeah, because you know we all have, you know, a lot of people have sensory problems, emotional or outward or inward and stuff, and so you're just overflowing. You're overflowing, but with happiness.
I love it.
Making new a positive. All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan, so much for spending time with us today. I appreciate your time, your spoons, and your energy. Good, fun times to share with everyone. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 5. And I just want to point out that so far, everyone has chosen cats. And I know that's a personal thing for me, but I'm just pointing it out. So that's all I have to say about this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I am really having fun doing this. Are you having fun doing this, Doug?
So much. I look forward to each and every one.
Me too. So I hope you guys enjoyed Jonathan. You can always find him at johnincharacter.com. You can check out all the stuff that he does. You can reach out to him there. He's just a really fun person to know. So I'm excited to have had you on. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you so much.
We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.